So, welcome back to another episode of Rugspirations, where we meet rug makers from all over the place. And today we have a special guest, Betty Ann Cormier, all the way from Shete Camp, Nova Scotia, which is on my bucket list to visit. Thank you so much, Betty, for joining me today.
Thank you for the information. Merci, Robin.
Yeah. One day we'll have to talk French. I would love to know how different your French is from my French. We won't do it today. Don't worry if anybody's watching and they're like, oh no. Mine is pretty rusty, but
Okay.
I grew up in Quebec, and so I'm bilingual, but I know it can be different in each area.
It's all about accents. Everybody has accents in my view. So
yeah. Accents and speed. I think some people speak very quickly and then I get lost. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get right into the questions today. I would love to start with my favorite one is who or what got you started in rug making? Like, how did this journey begin for you?
Oh, I have to go way back 57 years. I was six years old. Like a lot of little girls, little boys in my Acadian village of 3,000 people at the time. We would learn across our mothers, usually. Our mothers would be the rug hookers. Some fathers hook too. But that's how I learned. And I hooked with Mama in our living room, sitting across from her, watching her, observing her, and then trying it on my own. And by 12, I was selling my products in the local gift shops.
So at 6 years old, was it something that was expected of you, or were you like, oh no, I need to learn how to do this?
I guess for me, it was something that I wanted to learn, but I don't want to minimize the need that for some it was a must. And as I'm looking, studying, researching more and more, I'm learning that a lot of children in the 40, 50, 60s quit school very early in order to sit at the frame to help with the family finance.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And that was not that long ago. Like
that was not long ago.
Oh
yeah. And I there's some women that I know that have been at this for 60 and 70 years.
Amazing.
That's been there. It was never a livelihood because you couldn't make a living out of it, but it was an addition to the family. You know, fishing or work in the woods. In the winter would help his wife with the rug hooking and the children too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I mean, it's always so romantic to look and think, oh, families did it together. But obviously it wasn't always that.
It was not always that. And I have some families that rug hooking is no, it does not have all good memories because, you know, they had to in order to pay for the groceries and pay for the bills, and you know it was the way, so they couldn't go play outside as the other kids would. They were helping Mama and Papa.
Yeah. Wow.
But it was not everybody, but there was quite a few. I know of some families that had 3 and 4 hooking frames on the go in order to meet the demands. And you have to think, you know, when I'm going to talk about my experience, I did it because, well, we weren't very rich. My mom never worked outside the home. She always worked hard at home. The rug hooking frame was always out. My father was a lumberjack, so we were not rich, but we didn't miss anything. You know, we had everything we needed. But I wanted a bike. And Mama and Papa didn't have the money, so my sister and I got the idea that we would hook that winter and sell in the summer. And we were able to pool our money and we got a bike. You know those banana seats ones? Yes. That was our very first one. But then we had to learn how to compromise and how to share a bike.
How to share. I was going to say, did you each get a bike or?
No, there was only bike. Money for one.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Do you have a favorite part of the process? Like some people, it's the planning, the design, or gathering supplies, or dyeing, or sometimes it's the finishing and enjoying the finished product. Is there something to you that is like, this is the best part?
Sitting down at the frame and hooking, whatever it is. For me, it's my Zen time. Being a professional social worker, listening to people all day and journeying with them, I often came home as at my frame after supper, sitting down and forgetting about everything. And people who do crafts, people who have a hobby, people who play sports will understand that. That was my go-to. I would be re-energized and I would forget the more difficult things in the day. So yeah, that was my favorite all along. And now it's each part. There's no part of rug hooking that I don't like, from the
Yeah.
design to uh, the dyeing of the wool and balls to for me everything is exciting, even to see the finished product, because as you understand with the Shete style rug, we don't hide the backing. So, we just do the border in the back and it's ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. I totally agree. Every part can be exciting. Now
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I've met you before, so I've gotten to know this, but can you tell us about your design process? I know it's a little bit different. It's not a sort of Shete camp specific, but your process. How do you design?
So I'm going to go a little bit way back.
Yeah.
I started like everybody else. I was doing industrial rug hooking, producing flowers. Flowers, flowers, and more flowers. Everybody looked the same. People come with rugs nowadays, tell me, Betty Ann, who hooked this? I have no idea, because everybody was hooking the same thing and the same way, you
Mhm.
know. Nowadays, we're about 59 rug hookers left in the area, and I can pretty much, because of the design, because of the rug. So I would have designed you on the burlap with I don't add the permanent markers that
Yep.
one has, and I would have drawn. And sometimes we had little cardboard
Yeah.
designs that
Stencil.
we would
Yeah.
go around. But in my 40s, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I had problem with authority or something, but I did not want to follow lines anymore. Sorry, I wanted to hook outside the lines,
Outside. Yeah. Me
I
too.
wanted to do my own thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to do my own thing. So, well, before I went there, I put everything away. I didn't want to hook anymore because it was stifling me. I didn't want to do like everybody else. And Mama said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't," and I explained that to her. She said, "Betty Ann, don't draw, just hook." And that's what I started doing. So I love bright colors. See my back, my
You.
back wall. I love bright colors. I like life. I like bright. I like action, and that's what I started. My hook has become my paintbrush.
Mhm.
I start from the bottom of my rug and I hook upwards. And so I no longer design. The design is in my head, and they're whimsical, they're folk art designs, and they seem to be quite popular.
Yeah. And you're having lots of fun.
Yes.
That's the
And
best
do it
part.
my way.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally love that. Is
Good.
there something in your sort of rug hooking journey, and now obviously you've been doing it for a long time, that you wish you'd learned earlier? Maybe it's about design, I don't know, but something maybe you teach new hookers now that you're like, I just want everybody to know this.
You know, I was brought up in a community where rug hooking meant so much. It
Mm,
brought so much finances and recognition in the community. And it seemed to be there was a right way and a wrong way.
mm.
And I discovered that you cannot compare Picasso to Van Gogh. You know, each one of us has its own, we're artists,
Mhm.
and there's not a right way. For the longest time, the best hookers, the background, they would have had shapes, shells or squares, or, there would diamonds. That's one.
Mhm.
Because the entrepreneur was asking that of their rug hookers, it doesn't mean it was the only way.
Yeah.
Yes, it brings something special to the rug, but it's one of many ways, you know? So, because the way we started rug hooking is like a lot of people, it was with recycled materials, t-shirts, pants, nylons, whatever we had. The Shedcamp style rug hooking started with Miss Lillian Burke, who introduced the fine two-ply wool. Before that, we were hooking the same way as everybody else. And even though she had introduced that, there were still some people doing that work, you know.
Yeah.
So something I would have liked to learn earlier. There was just not one way of doing things. You can do many different things. An example, I gave a course one day, and people who hook with wool, you're using a bigger hook with our little miniature hooks, and they were struggling. I said, use your own hook. That's what a tool you're used to. And as soon as they used their tool on our wool, you should have seen the process. It was much more easier for them. Why struggle? You know, why?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's such an important lesson. Like, use what you have, make it work, do it your way.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Make it work.
Yeah, that is so true. Do you
I guess I'm not a purist. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a debate for somebody else. I don't even care
Yeah,
anymore.
not for me.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite material, like your foundation fabric, your wool, your tool? Like, I know there is unique things to Shete Camp, but you personally, do you have some things that without it, you just are not as happy?
I like my Steadicam style frame,
Yes.
hardwood made. That's that. My hook, which my husband does them for me. So now he knows what type I like. So that's really handy.
Yes.
The wool, it's the fine 100% cheap wool. That's what we use. Have I used other things? Of course I have, depending on what I wanted to create, you know. But I have a little something to show you.
Sure.
I'm the fourth generation rug hooker in my family, and I've been very blessed that my mother kept the hooks of
Amazing.
the past. And she just happened to mention it to me 2 years ago. I have my great grandmother's, that is a darker one, grandmother, my mother, and mine. And you see there's a space for a fifth one. My daughter knows how to rug hook, but it's not her forte right now. I'm hoping that maybe when she
Someday.
gets older, she might be interested. But there's a room for her there too.
That is really special to have those hooks.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. And you mentioned the two-ply yarn. So is that your preferred style as well? Like, it continues to
Yes.
be?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And of course the burlap, right? You need good burlap. And I'm telling you, COVID years were difficult for us in Shetty Camp. We couldn't find our burlap because there has to be 144 holes in a square inch. If there's less, it's too tight. If it's more, it's too loose.
Yeah.
But finally, we've been able to
You've been
order, so
sourcing.
that's
Okay.
good.
Whew.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
that would be stressful to not access the proper
Yes, it
material.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Well, and even your hooks, I mean, I'm thrilled that your husband continues to make them, but I know, well, from hearing through the grapevine before I met you, other people mentioning how hard it was to find those little tiny hooks, that they weren't easily accessible. So
No,
yeah.
right now there's only two locally that make them. They're my husband, and for people who know Lola's
Yep.
shop,
Yep.
her husband also does them. But I'm hearing through the grapevine there's a third one coming up.
Oh,
So and they're not from locally here. They would be from
oh,
Quebec, but that's fine. As long as they're willing to make them the way that we need to, that's okay. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Because yeah, you need the tools. You need the right tools. And it's so
that's
special.
right.
And for people that don't know, how does your husband make them? Like, just because I know, but I know some people have no
Yeah.
idea.
So it's a block of hardwood, and usually we're very fortunate. We have about 200 oaks on our property. So every time there's a branch that needs a snipping, he will cut it down, dry it, having dried for a year. And then the squares, they're probably an inch square and about a good 4 inch long. And he puts on top of that, he puts a finishing nail. And then he grinds the nail until it makes that hook at the top. And he prepares the handle the way that he thinks. But and I've told him, don't do one of the same. We all have different hands.
Yeah.
Um, because there's some people that all make the same size. Well, that doesn't work. For some it can cause pain in their hands if they don't have a long enough hook, a big enough hook. So I always tell them all kinds of sizes is the best.
Yeah.
For rug
And it's
hooking.
just, to me, it's amazing that he still does it with the bent nail, like just by fashioning the end
Yeah,
of the finishing nail. Like that is
exactly.
pretty unique
Exactly.
and they work
Mhm,
so well.
mhm.
So yeah, that's
But
awesome.
you know what? He can only do about 5 a day, so he can't make a whole lot. It's not a big industrial, and
No,
there's not a lot of money to be made in this. So that's why it's hard to find artisans who are willing to do
we're
them.
willing. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah, could you describe, if you can, what rug making does for you now? I mean, you mentioned it being a zen, but it seems to encompass a lot more than just sitting at the frame for you now. Like it's more than that, I think.
It's much more. I'm retired, and one thing I had a bucket list for retirement, uh, and one of which was to do my doctorate's degree. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would do this topic in my doctorate's degree, but I am researching the Shete style. I'll be doing some research on that. I'll be moving to Quebec next year and working on my doctorate. So number one. Number two, I've always taught. I've taught probably for at least 10, 15 years rug hooking. But since COVID, the the requests have been coming in from all over, and I was not expecting that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to France next year to
I
do just
read
that.
that.
Yeah, I'll be there in August for 2 weeks, where I'll be teaching classes in rug hooking. Mm.
Wonderful.
So who would have imagined?
Yeah.
Never, never.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that is wonderful to hear, though, that the interest is so much there and from
Mhm.
all over, not just Canadians. Like,
But I'm wondering, a lot of people are saying the internet. I mean the internet. I mean the COVID um, has propulsed a lot of the crafts. It could be one very important component of it, But I think our society, where at right now, people are going back to the more traditional ways, and that is one. It's working with products from the earth and giving back. So maybe it has to do with that too.
well, and I
Mm.
think, I don't know, but I think it had to do when so many of us or so many other people who didn't have these hobbies prior to COVID and they were faced with this empty time, potentially, depending on what they did in their careers or in their lives, and they wanted something that they could just do in the quiet of their home, realize that, oh, I better go find something. And, or maybe it was always in the back of their mind that someday they would do something, but didn't have time. And then they had time. So, yeah, it's interesting the changes that it brought.
Yeah. And another thing is that rug hooking brings them back to the beautiful memories of grandmother, of mother, because they would have done knitting, quilting, rug hooking. And
Mhm.
I think for us during those years, we needed comfort
Yes.
and needed to go back. Maybe that's also part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So do you find a lot of time to rug hook it in the day? Like, are you hooking every day at your frame?
No, I would need to be cloned. No, but every chance I get, I do sit. Um, my and it's a nice activity for my husband and I because he loves to play guitar. So he sings to me and I hook and listen. So, we're in the same room
Yeah.
and I'm very fortunate. He has just reorganized our retirement home. So one of the bedrooms is going to be my craft room
Oh,
because
nice.
I've picked up quilting also, which I love, 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 love. Mm.
Oh, amazing. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few pictures of things that that you shared with me and
Yeah,
that we can
sure.
talk about. So I will pull them up on my screen. Hopefully this works properly. Just
Mm.
so tell us
So
about
this
this
piece,
beautiful picture.
yeah, this piece we call Les Fleurs of Fleury. The flowers have bloomed.
Mm.
And this is my mama. She's 85 years old. And last year we did our very first piece together. Unbelievable that we had never hooked on the same piece. It is designed by my brother Bruno, and it's 4 by 6 feet. It has 257,000 loops. It has 3 pounds of different color yarns. We have dyed all of the colors that you see. It took us 217 hours to complete. And when we sold the piece, it sold in 2 days at a local gift shop. And when you calculate everything, we're paid $6.32 an hour each to make this.
Wow. Wow. That first of all, I'm so impressed that you kept track of all those details, because I always think it would be nice to know, but I'm not very good at keeping track of the details. So that is wonderful. Wow.
It was somebody from Cape Breton who bought it. She asked to meet with us. She did. And one of the things, of course, she liked the piece, but the idea that it was a mother-daughter piece
Mhm.
really spoke to her. So, yeah, I love the butterfly. Mom is really, really good at the animals and the sceneries and all of that stuff. Yeah. I have another piece here that Mom made for me many, many years ago when I first married. And since we're
Yeah.
in the season,
Oh,
Noel, beautiful piece.
yeah. Wow.
Again, designed by my brother Bruno. Bruno, worked for years at Flora's gift shop as their designer. He was very young, 14, 15, 16, and he worked with them for about 5 years. He's
Oh,
quite
wow.
an artist. Mm.
And so I gotta ask about selling that special rug that you and your mom made. Was it always to be sold, or had you thought you would like to
Good
keep it? Like,
question. I didn't want to sell it, of
yeah,
course. I
okay.
want to keep it, you know. But with Mama, you have to understand, um, they always hooked in order to provide. And for her, there was no way she was no, and I was not permitted to buy her part. She wanted to sell it. So that's what I did.
Okay, because
Yeah.
yeah, that was my thought too. Is if I had hooked a rug with my mom, I would have a hard time letting it go. But I can understand.
And by the way, we're making a second one.
And will you get
We're
to keep
working on it.
it?
I don't think so.
Well, you let me know when it goes for
Eh,
sale. Maybe I'll have to buy
yeah.
it. Wow, that is really
Uh,
smart. I do have another picture though that I want to share because it is a year frame. And I know that many people are familiar with a Shete Camp frame, but just in case anybody watching is not, and I would love you to tell us the unique qualities of this frame.
Okay, so the frame that you see there is the large frame that was used at Mama to hook that big piece.
Mhm.
The rollers, it's really 4 parts. You have the 2 leg part and the 2 roller parts. That's as easy as that. Easy as peasy. The rollers are 10 feet long. It doesn't look like that big, but that's how big. We needed bigger and wider because we wanted to see more of the rug when it was hooked. We have the Shete Cam style hook, rug hooking. The burlap needs to be
Mhm.
tight enough that when you let the hook down, it bounces off.
Yeah.
I know for people who hook with wool, it's not necessarily the case. But
Mhm.
I cannot hook with something that with burlap or linen that is loose. Now we cannot hook with linen; it's too tight. We hook with burlap. So
Mhm.
that's why you have these strings on each side, and you
Mhm.
have the mechanism on both ends to tighten until it almost twists the frame to keep it very, very tight.
Wow. And that's why the hardwood is important component to keep it solid. Wow.
Exactly. If you use softwood on this, the pressure will twist the frame, and in the long run could break it.
Yeah.
And we don't want anybody getting hurt.
Yeah. No, no rug hooking injuries. Wow. That is beautiful.
And one piece that's very
Oh,
important
yep.
on the legs there, you saw there's a vertical piece of wood, and it's no accident that is there. I usually put my foot on
Oh,
that to keep,
yep.
so it's because these frames are not ergonomically friendly, So something and I do that. I never sit at a frame for more than 45 to 60 minutes without getting up, taking a stretch, going for a little walk. I've known people who have hooked all their lives, early morning, late night, and are suffering now for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even at the computer when they're ergonomically set up, they say get up, move, stretch. And so, yeah, it's a good
That's right.
lesson for all of us to remember as we sit up.
But we're so much into this, sometimes we forget.
Yeah.
But but our bodies talk to us, So
Yeah,
take
it's
care of me.
really important. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Betty Ann. And we can share that you're going to be teaching a little bit more this winter. Is that okay if I
Yes,
share? Okay. If anybody's
yes, you
those
can.
watching it now or watching this, shortly after we've recorded it, Betty's going to be teaching online, doing an introduction class, so beginner rug hooking, Shete camp style, in the end of January, January 30th and February 6th. So keep your eye out. That will be up on, I'm helping her host it. So it'll be on Hooking Outside the Lines, and registration will open probably in the next few weeks. It'll be out there and people can sign up, and we'll send you the kit and a hook and everything that she has been busily putting together. So I'm so excited to do that. I think it's such a treat to learn this very unique and special way to do it.
And
So
let's tell them that each kit will have a special made hook by my husband in the kit.
that it just so special to me. Like those, I mean, I treasure my hooks anyway, but to know that it was handmade, like it's just, and the wood from
Yeah.
your property, like it is pretty unique,
Mhm,
pretty unique.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
yeah, so keep an eye out for that. And France, I look forward to hearing your stories. I think that'll be a wonderful journey. And locally, you will be teaching in Shete Camp next summer, I imagine, in
Yes.
person for those that.
Yes, all summer I teach 2 classes during the summer, and usually doing Celtic colors. I do 4 to 5 classes, and well, throughout the summer too, but particularly during Celtic colors, there's people from all over the world there. Mm.
I can't wait. That's going to be one of my trips. I definitely need to come out that way and visit during
Oh yeah.
Celtic Colors.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Betty Ann. It's been such a treat to chat with you again, and I look forward to your class in January.
I look forward to it too, and thank you so much, Robin, for inviting me today. And happy hooking, everybody.
Yes, exactly. Happy hooking. Do it your way.